What's up, guys? My name is Elias, and I officially turned 30 this May. So, as a lover of comic books and of comic book movies, I decided to watch, review, and rank every single live action, theatrically released Marvel and DC film dating as far back as the 1950s to now in a series I call The Road to 30. Today, we're talking about 1995's Batman Forever.
Forever.
Now, even though Tim Burton was set to do a third movie, the studio figured otherwise. Batman Returns did not do well with critics per se. A lot of people thought that it was a little too graphic for kids, a little too overly sexual and horny. And essentially, Tim Burton remained on as a producer, but they decided to give Joel Schumacher the job, who is mainly widely known for The Lost Boys. With Batman Forever, this is when the Tim Burton universe starts to get a little more hyper unrealistic. This movie just has a huge blend of neon camp and gothic nihilism. From the over the top performances to the hilariously witty one liners to the hyper stylized action, this movie almost doesn't know what it wants to be. It doesn't make it a bad movie by any means. I mean, I love the movie, but at the same time, watching it, it just feels like there's something missing. And that's evident because this movie was originally supposed to be 3 hours long. Yes, somewhere out there, there is a Joel Schumacher cut that was cut down to 2 hours or however long the movie is. Even in the commercial, they actually kind of advertised that they were going to dive further into Bruce's psyche. And the thing is, they do that here and there throughout this movie, but I think the editing is so choppy that it just goes from one thing to the next to the next to the next, and there's really kind of no explanation for everything except for just giving us little clues and tidbits about what's going on instead of actually like kind of carrying us along throughout the movie. Like there's one part where Bruce just randomly gives up being Batman. It's not necessarily explained as to how he came to that conclusion that he's going to just completely quit being Batman, and we're left to understand that apparently it's due to his newfound love for Nicole Kidman's Chase Meridian. And it's like, dog, you've been Batman doing things with girls your whole entire career. All of a sudden, you're like, I'm gonna quit. Like, I don't know. It doesn't, and that would be fine if that's really what they intended. But knowing that there was a 3 hour cut out there that was really going to dive into the why that Bruce Wayne is Batman, instead of just being like, yeah, I don't want to be Batman no more. I want to dive into that character's psyche, and Joel Schumacher really wanted to do that, and unfortunately, the studio was like, nah, we need to make this more fun, and we need to make it a lot quicker. Nobody's going to stay in the theaters for 3 hours, and lo and behold, we live in a generation in an era where 3 hour movies are kind of the norm, and a lot of people are willing to stay in the theater to watch a 3 hour film. Nevertheless, let's get into casting. First off, Val Kilmer, rest in peace. I think he is top five Batman of all time. I do not understand the hate for his character. I get that there's a scene where he smiles after making out with Chase Meridian. I get it. That doesn't sit right with a lot of people. Batman does not smile like that. At most, he smirks, and it's kind of scary when he does it, not goofy. But I do appreciate his nuances here. I mean, like he does play that very kind of tragic character, that there's something deep underneath that's seriously making him as crazy as he might be to somebody who doesn't know the ins and outs of Batman. But I just love his little nuances. Like, he really does seem like this tragic character that he's very stoic, very somber, but he can, not that he's playful in any kind of way, he almost has no personality, but I think that does kind of work for that character, because when he's Bruce Wayne, he's on, he's got like the billionaire swagger or whatever. He's kind of cheeky. He's kind of a d bag in certain in certain aspects, and that plays to Bruce Wayne pretty well. And then you have him being Batman, where he's this like, I'm going to beat you up now because you're a criminal, and I'm going to do whatever I can to save the day kind of attitude. And that just kind of works. Like, I'm not saying he's the best of both worlds per se, but he's top five in the sense of he understands the character. I mean, this is Doc Holliday we're talking about from Tombstone. Like, this guy, Val Kilmer is a thespian. He's a great actor, and I think he's very underrated as Batman. Maybe if the script was a little bit better, people would appreciate it more. I like him. Of course, you got Jim Carrey here as the Riddler. Jim Carrey's my favorite actor of all time. And him being the Riddler is one of my favorite things he's ever done in his entire career. He's absolutely ridiculous, bombastic, over the top, steals every single scene that he's in, chews up the scenery, does the dumbest things possible throughout the movie, and yet he's the biggest threat of the entire film. It's just kind of crazy how they were like, that was supposed to be Robin Williams, by the way, and then Jim Carrey swooped in and took the role. So, I mean, I could picture Robin Williams doing it too. Rest in peace to him as well. But I think Jim Carrey just kind of owned it in a way that's just so iconic and something that we'll never see ever again. I like Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I think on paper it works. And actually, the first scene that he comes out in when he's in the bank vault and he's talking to the security guard that he's tied up, I think it works very well because he plays this very serious Harvey Dent when he's like asking him something, and then he goes up closer to him, and then he's like, there's chaos, like whatever he's saying, and like you see like his Two-Face face, and it's just like, whoa, he really like played that like dual dynamic very well for that character. And then throughout the rest of the movie, and I'm assuming this is because the movie got cut down to 2 hours instead of 3 hours, he's kind of trying to just one up Jim Carrey. Like, but why are you trying to one up Jim Carrey? Be your own character. Don't be like Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's Jim Carrey for a reason. Like you're not that guy. Jim Carrey even went on record famously saying that Tommy Lee Jones pretty much hated him throughout the entire filming of the movie.
He said he couldn't sanction my buffoonery.
He couldn't.
Chris O'Donnell also makes his debut here as Robin, and I do like how his origin is kind of interwoven into the story. And the only thing that maybe I have a gripe with is not only laundry karate, like that scene is absolutely ridiculous. That's a bad scene. But he's too old. He's supposed to be this 17-year-old dude who just lost his parents and he has to be taken in. When Chris O'Donnell is very clearly 25 years old in this movie, like he looks entirely too old to be taken in by another grown man. And it's just, especially because Bruce is only like 10 years older than him in real life. Val Kilmer's only like 10 years older. So it just plays very, very, very weird. But I love his dynamic with Val Kilmer. I love his dynamic with Alfred. Even him and Alfred get a couple of great scenes where he's like kind of inspiring him to be Robin. And then, you know, that end scene where they both put on their like sonar suits and, you know, it's Batman and Robin together ready to go fight Two-Face and Riddler. I mean, all that's like really, really cool. And I think the cast is a testament to how good the cast is, because they really do anchor in this movie. Especially, I mean, even not especially, but even Nicole Kidman's Chase Meridian. She's a good character, but you know, I mean, and she plays to like the psychology of Bruce Wayne. She's a little horny for my taste. I mean, like she's kind of throwing around signals to this guy, quite literally shine the bat signal just to get Batman to come and do things. And I'm just like, come on, you're Nicole Kidman. You're better than that. But again, I think that's the script's fault. And last thing I'll say is the score by Elliot Goldenthal this time around is arguably better than Danny Elfman's. I kind of go back and forth with which one is my favorite, but those two are just so iconic. And Elliot Goldenthal really tried to bring something new and different to the score this time around. And it just feels like dun, 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 dun. Like that is so fire. It gets me pumped up. It makes me want to, you know, run into the screen like Batman and Robin do at the end of the movie. Like it looks crazy. So I really do love how it ties the tone and pretty much just what this new era or version of Batman is aside from Michael Keaton's. Overall, though, I think I'm going to go with the A- tier of my rating scale, which is a 3.5 out of 5 or a 7 out of 10. And while I don't think this is a great movie per se, it is a good movie. It's an entertaining 2 hours. It gets a lot of hate for no reason whatsoever. The cast is great. The visuals are awesome. The story, the plot, you know, the script itself is not the best. I mean, you know, especially the editing. I mean, the fact that it was chopped down to 2 hours instead of being the 3 hour, you know, Schumacher cut that we should have gotten. You know, it's upsetting, and I would like to see that full version one day if it's ever going to see the light of day. The action, the performances, I mean, everything that I just mentioned pretty much makes up for that dumb intro where Batman says, "I'll get drive-through." You know, it's not a bad movie, and the people who say it is just, I feel like they just don't like to have fun. You know what I mean? And this, before we get to Batman and Robin, this really was a tempered version of Batman where you can blend the fantastical with the realistic in a sense that in a way that it makes sense and it still fits with the world that Tim Burton started. And the fact that he produced it, I mean, that just goes to show you that his hand is absolutely seen in this movie. And I do like what Joel Schumacher did this time around. So maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I grew up watching it. It was another one that I rewound constantly on the VHS tapes. So yeah, Batman Forever. Thumbs up. But that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, remember to hit that like button and get in my comments with your thoughts on 1995's Batman Forever, as well as what Marvel or DC film you are excited for me to review next. Until next time, guys, take care and God bless.